If you are anything like me, you are super excited for fall. Today, I've organized a bunch of television shows and movies to kind of put you in that early fall spirit and get you prepared for the rest of what is probably my favorite season. There's so many shows and movies that are so clearly fall, but with this, I kind of wanted to touch on a couple things that aren't like explicitly Halloween or Thanksgiving or like deeply set in fall. So the very first one I have, if you watch my This Week On videos, I talk about weekly, and that is Only Murders in the Building, which is a Hulu original series following 3 diehard fans of the same true crime podcast who meet when a fire alarm is pulled in their building and everyone has to evacuate. And then upon returning to the building, they discover that a murder has occurred, and these true crime junkies and true crime junkie fashion want to investigate further and see if they can be the ones to uncover the mystery of the death of their apartment mate. The things I really love about this show, if you've never heard me talk about it before, the dynamic of the 3 leads, Martin Short, Steve Martin, and Selena Gomez, are just such an amazing trio. Their humor and the way that each of their specific character personalities interact just makes for a really fun time. I also think that the theme song kind of has a mix of like the Serial podcast, if you've ever listened to it, that theme song, along with kind of just the piano that is a little spooky but not explicitly Halloween. This show also really reminds me of Knives Out, both in the murder mystery aspect, but the fact that all the characters are wearing sweaters and are super cozy and have these big bold personalities. So if you're a fan of Knives Out, I highly recommend Only Murders in the Building, and you can catch Only Murders in the Building on Hulu. Speaking of Mabel, Selena Gomez, and her wardrobe in Only Murders in the Building, if you are wanting to revamp your wardrobe or style for fall, look no further than today's sponsor, INDV Apparel. So INDV Apparel is a apparel company that focuses on allowing you to express your individuality through different products on their site. I am a huge fan of all of their jewelry over there. As you can see, I've got my little butterfly earrings on here, and I also have my little customized Yelena bracelet, which I will insert a couple photos of for you guys. INDV has something for you regardless of your style. They have Y2K inspired jewelry, they have very gothic grunge inspired apparel, and they additionally have some really awesome embroidery, which I am absolutely obsessed with because you guys know me in sweatshirts. So if you're looking to spruce up your fall accessories, be sure to use my code SASHA10 for 10% off your order. Thank you again so much to INDV Apparel and to Lindsay, the owner of INDV, for sponsoring today's video. I absolutely love INDV, and I'm sure you will too. Next is one of my all-time favorite shows, This Is Us. I haven't gotten to talk about it much because this season we are not getting a new season. Like this fall season, we gotta wait a little bit for season 6. This Is Us is a family drama following the Pearson clan as they traverse not only interpersonal relationships and situational dramas, but also multiple timelines. And that is one of my favorite things about this show. There is a twist in the very first episode where you find out that all of these people who share the same birthday are actually a family and they're related, and the story takes place across multiple timelines. But as you get into later seasons, there is even more timelines added. There are new characters added, new stories to explore, and I love the way that the show has been able to grow. I am so sad that it's going to be finishing in the 6th season. But as we wait for that 6th season, I think fall is the perfect time to binge watch this series or catch up if you are not caught up completely, or even just revisit it, because specifically the 70s timeline, which is the main timeline where the 3 kids, the big 3, are growing up. I think so many of those episodes follow like fall holidays such as Halloween and Thanksgiving, while also having a very warm color palette and lighting to kind of set you specifically in that 70s timeline and let you know that that is where you are. But I also think that this show just reminds me of fall again because it's cozy and it's my like comfort show. I also really recommend this show if you're looking for something new to like binge watch, because there are so many characters, and I think the entire premise of the show is really based on like you finding a character or a specific storyline that includes one or multiple characters that you really relate to, and you find your experience potentially portrayed on screen. And I think this series does such a good job of making you say, like, that's me, that's my family, that's us, this is us. Like, This Is Us is currently bingeable on Hulu and I believe Peacock as well. So be sure to catch up on all 5 seasons of This Is Us before season 6 airs next spring. Next, another one you guys probably knew I was gonna talk about, What We Do in the Shadows. Not enough of you guys watch this show, and I feel like so many of you would love this series. But if you've never heard of it, What We Do in the Shadows is a mockumentary series following 3 vampires who have lived together for centuries as they seek to take over all of Staten Island and eventually the world. They do this with the help of their energy vampire roommate Colin Robinson and their human familiar Guillermo. This series is the perfect thing if you kind of want to get in the Halloween spirit but are not a horror fan like myself. If you like scary elements and monster type movies but you don't like actually being scared, please, I beg of you, watch this series. It is so funny. You can watch What We Do on the Shadows live on FX every Thursday night, or you can binge the first 2 seasons and the first half of season 3 on Hulu. Next, one of my absolute favorite rom-coms now, I think I can fairly say that, even though I only watched it for the first time this year, When Harry Met Sally. When Harry Met Sally follows 2 friends over the course of many years as they kind of have this discussion about whether or not men and women can be platonically friends, or if there is always that sexual element that ruins a potentially otherwise great friendship. This movie not only is one of the best written rom-coms, romantic movies I've ever seen, but it is absolutely hysterical, and so that alone should get you to watch it. But if you still need more selling and like that, the genre of it all is not enough for you, it primarily takes place in New York City, and there's several iconic scenes that take place in Central Park in fall, or several scenes that do take place in winter months, which feature the main characters Meg Ryan and Billy Crystal, Sally and Harry, wearing sweaters and kind of that cozy wardrobe. So if you're definitely looking for like a little bit of retro wardrobe inspiration beyond just accessories and stuff, that's another great reason to watch this movie. But I also think this movie is specifically great because if you are someone that is already like sort of thinking about Christmas, Thanksgiving, and like the like later winter holiday season, but you're like trying to enjoy fall in the moment, this movie, because of certain Christmas scenes, will kind of give you that like taste to maybe settle your palate so you can enjoy the fall months and still be anticipating Christmas. Because maybe that's too specific, but for me, I always like the weather starts to get cooler, it gets into fall, and then I'm immediately like, Christmas, I want it to be winter, and it's just like, then I won't appreciate it when it rolls around. So if you kind of want that little snippet, be sure to watch When Harry Met Sally, and be sure to watch it relatively soon, because unless I have already missed the deadline, I believe it is streaming on HBO Max, but not for long, and I don't know where it's going next. So just be sure to kind of look out for this one and catch it sooner if you don't want to like go out and purchase it or something like that. Next, we have a absolute classic movie, Back to the Future. And I know this isn't like explicitly fall, but hear me out. As most of you probably know, Back to the Future follows Marty McFly as he goes back in time and accidentally interrupts his parents' meeting, which threatens his future existence. And so in addition to not only trying to get back to 1980 from the 1950s, he is additionally trying to reunite his parents so that he and his siblings do not cease to exist. Marty's outfit alone, we're talking so much about outfits today and fall wardrobe, so you can tell what's on my mind, but Marty's outfit alone, the layers, the denim jacket, the flannel, the vest, all scream fall to me. I also think I see this movie on TV so much more in fall time. The past several Thanksgivings, I've seen a Back to the Future 1, 2, and 3 marathon on different television channels, so I feel like that alone is justification of why it's fall. And so those are all the things wrapped into one that make me think Back to the Future is a fall movie, but it's just a great movie. Like, it's a fantastic, hilarious sci-fi movie, And if you've never seen it, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to get on that. Next, one of my favorites, again, Dickinson. Dickinson follows young American poet Emily Dickinson as she grapples with wanting to be a famous writer in the mid-1800s under the watchful eye of her father, who disapproves of women writing and the gender norms of her time. This show is a comedy, but it does have these really great, ominous, eerie elements. Emily Dickinson and her poetry has a very strong connection to death and the ideas of eternity and immortality and all those kind of things. And in the show, death is personified by none other than Wiz Khalifa. And so I think his visits and her almost fantasy, supernatural, trippy ideas that sprout both from her poetry and when she's almost in this like alternate dream side of her life, those all have like really true October elements to them. Again, like I said with What We Do in the Shadows, if you want those Halloween elements, but you don't want something that's explicitly spooky or Halloween based, Dickinson definitely has you covered. It streams exclusively on Apple TV Plus, and be sure to watch seasons 1 and 2 before season 3. Last but not least, I hate the fact that I've talked about almost every single one of these before on my channel, but it's the aesthetic, it's the theme of the video and collecting them all together that's unique. We have The Princess Bride, one of my absolute favorite movies of all time. The Princess Bride follows Princess Buttercup and Wesley, two star-crossed lovers who, despite various circumstances, are separated and must reunite after facing pirates, a horrid king, and just different elements. This is also a story within a story movie where the story that involves Princess Buttercup and Wesley takes place as a book that a grandfather is reading to his grandson. This story is absolutely one of my favorites, and it's because it's both funny, it's adventure, it's got romance, it's truly like the definition of a great film with a great ensemble cast. Like I said before, this is a story within a story, and the story that takes place outside of Buttercup and Wesley's world is a grandfather whose grandson is sick and bad, and he comes to visit him and read him this story, and it's snowing outside, and I think that cozy, intimate setting that you get outside of the fantasy world is enough to be like classified as an early fall thing. I think it also may take place closer to Christmas, so now that I think about it, maybe better as a winter film. I believe The Princess Bride is still streaming on Disney Plus, but if that information is different, you'll see it on the screen here. If you have other early fall recommendations for me, please leave them down below. Be sure to like this video if you want more true fall or true Halloween movie and television recommendations. Also be sure to consider subscribing if you're not already and hitting the notifications bell so you never miss any of my videos. Thank you all so much for watching, and thank you again to INDV Apparel for sponsoring this video, and I will see you all in my very next video. Bye y'all.